Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this is the new 10th generation Honda Civic. We missed the 9th generation, but in 10th generation this car is right here. The 8th generation Civic was here, and the reason why that car could not succeed too well towards the fag end of its life cycle was the fact that it did not have a diesel option when everybody was looking at diesel engines. That problem has been solved now, and now this car has a 1.8 litre petrol and a diesel. And today I'm going to let you know everything that you need to know about this car. So let's get started with the design first. And this car has been there for the past 2 years, slightly more than 2 years, and this face is pretty familiar to the people who love the Civic and have been waiting for it to come to India. So the grille is the very familiar big chrome Honda face, and it extends into these sharply styled headlamps, which are, by the way, all LED units. These LED lamps are there only on the top of the line variant. There would also be a lower variant which will have a projector setup with halogens. This DRL, however, is LED on all variants. Apart from that, there is this chrome lining around the fog lamp, which makes the car look premium and to an extent sharper as well. The Civic is supposed to be a sporty car, and if you look at it from the front 3/4 and from the side, you realize that the bonnet is low slung, it slopes forward, and it looks like a very sporty, very performance oriented car, and that big bold front face really makes it stand out. Coming towards the side, there are some very nice highlights here which you'd probably want to know about, and the first of these is this fender mounted blinker, which is not there on any other car in this segment. You also get these 17-inch wheels, which are the largest in this segment, and the lower variants will get a 16-incher. The tires here are 215 section. These are Yokohama's, and the grip from them is pretty good. These ORVMs are also slightly different from what you'd find on regulation cars, and besides being two-tone, you also have this ribbed surface here which makes it stand out. You have mounted blinkers, and you also have this 80-degree camera which covers the blind spot for you and prevents any car from being out of your field of vision when you're changing lanes. It activates when you turn the blinker to the left, or you can activate it by pressing a specific button which is there on the stock as well. The B pillar is blacked out, and the upper part of the greenhouse area is done in this chrome. At the bottom you have black. The door handles are done in chrome, and if you look at the roof of this car, it slopes down very sharply, although the space inside is not bad. The headroom has been compromised slightly, but it's not bad at all, and even 6-footers can sit inside, and I will demonstrate that to you in a bit. The lines on this car in profile are defined by this straight line which runs from the tail lamps all the way to the front fender, and this curve that goes along with the front fender. Overall, if you look at it in profile, it looks like a sporty, performance oriented car. Some may even think that this is a notchback, but this is not. This is a sedan, and it looks really nice and sporty, especially when you look at it from the side and from the rear, where you have these boomerang styled lamps which have this LED outer ring and bulb elements inside. So it's not an all LED unit. You have an LED outer element, while there are some elements which are bulbs as well. The bumper at the rear has this chrome line at the bottom. You have parking sensors, and you also have this rear view camera which has 3 modes, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how they work. You might want to think that these are fog lamps, but these are not rear fog lamps, they are just reflectors. Also, an interesting element at the rear is the fact that the exhaust is not visible, it's concealed, and you have to really go down to see the exhaust from here. The boot space here is 430 liters, which is not class leading, but if you look at it, the Elantra also has only 420 liters, although the Octavia has 590 liters of space. The loading lip is not too high, which makes putting stuff inside very easy, and underneath you also get a full-sized spare with alloy, which is fantastic. Overall, the Civic looks very sporty, very ready for performance, as it should, because it's always been a car which has been associated with good performance and handling, and of course that shark fin antenna there adds to the sporty appeal of the car. Time now to get inside, but before that I want to demonstrate to you a unique feature that the new Civic has, and it's this remote engine start feature. And you can start the car from the outside using this remote here, and to do that the car should be locked first, and once it's locked you have to use this button here to turn the car on. You have to keep it pressed to turn it on, and the car will turn on by itself, and you can turn it off as well by keeping this button pressed. The car comes with sensors, so you don't have to pull the key out of your pocket, and the doors will unlock by themselves as you approach the door handles. And since this is a sporty car, the height of the seats is low by design, so while you get in you really have to stoop a little bit and You ride very low and you have a very connected, very low slung kind of a driving position. Before we start talking about the things inside, let's also talk about the fact that the seats here on the driver's side are electrically powered for fore and aft as well as recline adjustment. You don't have lumbar support here though, which I think should have been there for this segment of cars. On the front door panel, you have this leather trim and this padding on the armrest, which makes it very comfortable. All 4 windows are auto up and down. You also get these power folding mirrors, which are also electrically adjustable. And the boot release button is right here. This door panel also gets the space for a full-sized 1 liter bottle as well as some more space to spare. In addition, you get this satin silver inlay here, which looks very nice and premium. Also, an interesting fact to know is that this part here, this panel here is not hard plastic. This is soft to touch, and there are a lot of other areas where the plastic is relatively hard. It's not bad quality, it's good quality, but it's hard to touch. But this part here is soft to touch because this is the part where the driver's arm generally comes in contact with the door. So since this is a key without a key, you get a push button start and stop, and the feeling once you get inside this car is that of sitting in a very sporty car. You feel very connected, you ride very low, and the steering, which is very chunky, this 3-spoke steering feels very nice and chunky to hold, gives you a proper sporty feeling while you're holding it. So this compact dashboard and the low seating really makes you feel that you're driving a car which is very ready for action and meant to be driven hard. So that's the kind of feeling that you get once you sit inside this car. The steering by itself is both tilt and telescopically adjustable, which is obviously a great thing. You also get these paddle shifters to select gears manually. On the steering, you also get controls for cruise control, and you have all the controls to this colored instrument console, which is very easy to navigate through, and you can browse through all the menus very easily. And this would obviously remind you of the CRV, where you had a similar system. On the left you have the temperature gauge, on the right you have the fuel gauge, and in the middle you have the speedo along with this tacho. So it's pretty easy and it's very information rich. You also get voice commands which can be controlled using this button here. On the steering wheel you also have this contrasting stitching in white, which adds to the sporty appeal of the car. In the middle you have this 7-inch touchscreen, which is an LCD unit, and while it's very feature rich, it can connect to your cell phone using Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. This doesn't come with an inbuilt navigation system, which I think is a bit of a shame, because for this segment that feature should definitely have been there. The audio quality here is pretty good, and the music lovers amongst you are not going to be disappointed with the quality of the audio here. In terms of space, I've already mentioned the space that you have on the door panels. In addition, you have this very nice space here where you can put your cell phone or your wallet, and it's rubberized, so things are not going to fly around. In addition, you have this massive space here where you have these 2 cup holders which can double up as space to store your cell phone or wallet, and you have this very nice crevice here which is soft at the bottom, so you can store whatever you want to store there, and you have a USB socket as well. This armrest here is sliding, so that's another great feature. You have a 12-volt power socket here, and along with that you have an HDMI as well as a USB socket here as well. Once you connect your cell phone through the USB socket, there is this hole here through which you can route your cable and put your cell phone here so that it rests while the sockets are concealed there. On the driver's side you have this vanity mirror with illumination, and you have a similar setup here on the passenger side as well. You also get this toll ticket holder here, and one very important feature which is required by a lot of people these days, and Honda have duly obliged by providing it, is this sunroof. Although it's not panoramic, but a sunroof which is electrically adjustable to have is something very important for this segment, and I'm glad that Honda have provided that. The glove box here is decently sized, it's pretty spacious. However, it's not a cooled unit, so that's a bit of an omission. I really believe cars above a certain segment, especially in India, should have a cooled glove box as a feature. Now the AC here is a 2-zone unit, and the buttons and everything, the quality is fantastic. They have a very positive, very solid feel to them, and the AC works pretty well as well. And if you look at the dash as a whole, this whole part of the dash, the upper part of the dash, is done in soft to touch material. It's very high quality, very good to touch. This part here also is soft to touch rubberized plastic, so it feels very nice. The stitching that you see here is not actually a stitching. This is just a pattern, and it's similar to what we saw on the CRV as well. You have this unique plastic insert here which looks rather nice and classy. Underneath you have this satin silver inlay. So the cabin has been done very well. The quality of materials is very good, and in terms of the finish, the quality and the overall feel that you get inside the cabin, there is nothing to complain about, and it's actually one of the nicest cabins in this class. Apart from that, if you look at the seats have also been designed very well. You sit very low and you have this very sporty feel when you talk about it from the position perspective, but the seats by themselves are also very sporty. They have very good bolstering on them, and apart from that, they are also finished in this perforated leather for the top variants with this fabric spine done in a checkered pattern. So it looks very nice, sporty, and has a very lively, very nice feel to it. Inside this cabin you feel special, and especially if you're a driver, you're going to love it. Apart from lumbar support, if I really have to nitpick, I think cars in this segment now, since there are cars in lower segments also which have ventilated seats, and this segment as well, if ventilated seats were provided in this car as well, that would really have been nice. In terms of safety, the Civic comes with 6 airbags, and this gets an ASEAN 5-star NCAP rating. Also you get ABS with EBD and brake assist, and you also get traction control. So all of those features are obviously going to make this car very safe. The Civic is a global product, and you can buy this car without worrying at all about safety. This is a very safe car. The seat belts here are also height adjustable, which is a great feature. So if you're a tall person, you're not going to have any trouble whatsoever. As I mentioned before, the camera here has 3 modes. So you have this super wide mode where you get a very wide view. You have this normal view as well, which is not as wide but clearer, and you have this third view which lets you look at what is there right at the bottom of the camera. So this again is a great feature if you're reversing and you're not sure of what exactly lies beneath the car. So these are the 3 modes. Apart from that, you have this button here which you can use to activate the 80-degree camera, which lets you spot if there is something in your blind spot while you are changing lanes. You have this econ mode where the AC operates in a more efficient manner, saving you fuel, and you have this electronic parking brake which releases a lot of space here, and you have this brake hold as well which you can use on traffic signals so that the car doesn't roll forward or backward. Overall, the quality of materials, the feeling that you get here is very good. I really think that this is a very special cabin, and for this class Honda have done a fantastic job. And time now to get to the back seat and see how spacious and comfortable the back seats on the Civic are. Now the Civic is supposed to be a sporty car. It's not exactly a family oriented car, and that's why the seating is so low. So like the front seats, the rear seats are also pretty low, so getting inside for the elderly in the house can be a bit of an issue. But once you get inside, the under-thigh support is pretty good. However, the height of the bench is not too high, so the taller ones amongst you might find their knees pointing skywards, so that can be a bit of an issue for the taller people amongst you. You get this very nice central armrest where the padding is really soft and nice, so if you're going to be driving for long distances, this is going to make your journeys very comfortable. You also get these 2 cup holders. There is a rear AC vent as well. You also get the seating light for the rear passengers. You also get these coat hooks mounted on the B pillar. The headroom here, for me being 5'10", is more than sufficient. My head is not brushing at all. I think even 6-footers can sit here without their head brushing. However, if you are any taller than 6 foot, then your head may brush against the wall. And I think the space here is surprisingly good for the fact that this is such a sloping roofline, and I really believe that it's been made possible by the fact that the seating is low. So despite the roofline sloping so aggressively, you have sufficient headroom here. You have adjustable headrests for the 2 passengers, but the 3rd passenger doesn't get an adjustable headrest. However, what the 3rd passenger does get is this 3-point seat belt. The central area on the seats is raised, and this seat is not going to be very comfortable for those who want to travel long distance. This can be used only for short distances. There is a huge hump here, so this place is not going to be very usable for the 3rd middle passenger. If you look at the door panels, you have sufficient space for a big 1-liter bottle, and like the front, you have this leather trim here, satin silver insert here. But unlike front, this panel here is not soft to touch. This is proper plastic, and you also have this padded area here which makes journeys more comfortable over a longer distance. You also get these magazine holders in the back of the front seat. One omission here though is that there is no power socket, neither a 12 volt power socket nor a USB socket. However, if you wish, you can use the socket which is underneath this armrest and extend the wire at the back to charge your devices. So there is a workaround, but there is no dedicated power socket for the back benches. The seats here are ISOFIX, and that's a great inclusion so that you can put a child seat and not worry about the safety of your children. I really think that these seats are pretty comfortable. The Civic, as I mentioned before, is a sporty car. Under-thigh support is good. The back support is good. The comfort is very good. The NVH levels are fantastic. So all of that makes it a very good back bench to sit in. However, the only problem that I have is that they are pretty low. So sometimes for taller people, it may be a bit of an issue because their knees may point slightly skywards. Now the petrol version of the Civic is powered by a 1.8 litre naturally aspirated engine. The power output here is 141 PS. The peak torque output here is 174 Newton meters. It's slightly less than the other cars in the segment. If you compare it with the Elantra, it's got 150 PS. If you compare it with the 1.4 Octavia, it's got 150 PS again. But it's similar to the 1.8 litre Corolla, which gets 140 PS. I really think that this engine is fantastic. It revs all the way to 6,500 RPM and above. It's a very free revving engine. But the CVT here is a bit of a spoil sport. If you want to be driving it enthusiastically, the CVT does make more noise than the show that it allows the engine to have. And I really think that Honda should have given a manual transmission option for this car, because with the manual transmission also, one would have really loved to hoon it. I think the seating position in this car is really sporty. It really invites you to drive it. The steering is very nice to hold. The suspension is fantastic. The car really has a very nice direct steering. It has a very good suspension. It begs to be driven hard. The handling is fantastic. I really think that this car would have done very well with a manual transmission. That option should have been there. The CVT is a bit of a downer because it makes more noise than required, and we tested it for its 0 to 100 run as well, and it gave us 0 to 100 kilometers per hour sprint timing of about 12 seconds, which is not very quick for a car which is supposed to be as sporty as the Civic. So that's something that should probably have been taken care of. You have the sport mode on this drive selector though, which lets the car rev a little more freely and enhances the acceleration by some margin, but it doesn't really help much. You also have these paddle shifters which you can use if you want to shift manually. But overall, I really believe that for a car like the Civic, there should have been a manual option, and that bit I personally am missing a little bit. Talking about the fuel efficiency, the ARAI fuel efficiency here is 16.5 kilometers to the liter, and you'll get about 9 to 10 kilometers within the city, and you'll get about 12 to 13 kilometers to the liter on the highway, which is not bad at all for a 1.8 liter. So the fuel efficiency is not something that you should be bothered about. For this class, I think it's par for class. So while generally the NVH levels have been very well contained, I think the engine noise because of the CVT can be a bit of an issue, especially when you mash the pedal. So when you put the pedal to the metal, the engine gets a little bit noisy, and that can also be a bit of an issue. But when you're driving it at part throttle, there is no problem. The NVH levels have been very well controlled. The car drives very well, it rides very well, very absorbent, rides very well over bad roads. So the comfort is not compromised at all. The ground clearance is good, so you can drive it over bad roads as well. I really believe that this is a very well engineered car, and the feeling from behind the steering wheel is that of a car which wants you to drive it hard. And having that CVT doesn't really do justice to the kind of performance that this car probably could have had. And I believe that this car deserved to have a manual transmission. But as an overall package, if you are not looking at it purely from an enthusiast's perspective, I think it's a very, very well-rounded package. Very good, very fuel efficient, performance is decent too, and very comfortable as well. Now I'm driving the 1.6 diesel variant of the new Civic, and I really believe that with the manual transmission, the Civic comes into its element, and it comes across as a very involving, very nice car to drive. It invites you to be driven hard, and with the diesel manual variant, it's really coming across as a very fun to drive car. The power output here is not all that much. It's only 120 HP with 300 Newton meters of torque, which is pretty impressive. We did a 0 to 100 test as well, and the time that we got was about 13 seconds, which is not very quick, but the in-gear acceleration is very, very good. The engine is very linear. You start getting a response from 1000 RPM onwards, and there is a mild kick that you can feel after 1500 RPM. There is a little more pronounced kick that you get after 2000 RPM, but there is response across the rev band, and it's particularly strong in the mid revs between 2 and 3,500. Although this engine revs all the way to 4,800 RPM. The red line is at 4,500, but it revs beyond that, and it's quite a fun to drive car, although not an outright straight line performer, but very usable performance, very good mid-range, which makes it a very good practical car to drive. And this involving steering, which is very feelsome, very direct, and the suspension, the overall geometry, which makes it a proper fun to drive car. So as I mentioned before, had there been a manual transmission on the petrol version also, it would have really delighted the enthusiasts who love the Civic nameplate for the kind of involving drive that it has always been known for. That apart, the gear shifts are also very nice, very precise, short throws. This 6-speed gearbox is a joy to operate. And talking of the gearbox, if you really talk about the ratios, the first gear will take you to about 45 kilometers per hour, second gear will take you to 90 kilometers per hour, and the third gear will take you to 145 kilometers per hour. So that's the kind of gearing that you have on this car. Overall, I really think that this is a very practical engine transmission combo in the diesel, guys. And the fuel efficiency here is 26.8 kmpl area, which is class leading, and this car is actually very fuel efficient. Within the city also, this car is easily going to give you 15-16 kilometers to the liter, and on the highway this car is going to cross 20 kilometers to the liter while still being very involving, very fun to drive. You also get a dead pedal for enhanced comfort over longer journeys. So I really think that of the two powertrains that you have available at this point in time, the diesel has to be the pick for me. It really is a very practical, very nice package. The noise inside the cabin is also very well contained, and this car in the diesel manual version, if priced well, is going to present a solid challenge to its rivals in the segment. So the Civic is back, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of fans who have been waiting for this car to come are going to pounce on it and buy it. To start off, I think there are two omissions. First is the choice of a manual on the petrol version is not there. I really think that that should have been there, because it's a sporty car, it's a fantastic engine, and if it had a stick shifter, it would really have helped enthusiasts drive it a little better. And the other omission is the other way around. On the diesel, there should have been an automatic, because for that segment, I really believe that people would have wanted an automatic choice. Apart from that, this car looks very nice. It's one of the nicest looking cars. It looks very sporty, and for those who want a car that makes a statement, I think this car is going to do that for them. The prices have not been announced yet, and I have to reserve my verdict until the car is launched. That's going to happen in early March. However, if you really look at prices, the Elantra starts at about 14 lakh rupees and goes to 20 lakh rupees. If you look at the Octavia, it starts at 16 and goes all the way to 27 lakh rupees. It's pretty expensive. And if you look at the Corolla, which is on its way out, it starts at about 16 and a half and goes to 20 lakh rupees. I really believe that Honda will have to price this car aggressively so that it has a fighting chance, because there are a lot of options. Times have changed and there are options in the market. There was a time when people used to buy cars because they were big fans, but now people have options. They want features and they want everything at a good price. So I really hope and believe Honda are going to price it aggressively. What price point they launch it at, I don't know, but I really hope that they price it competitively. Space here is not one of the highlights, but in terms of the way this car drives, the equipment level and the way it feels from the inside and outside is actually very special. And if it's priced well, I'm very sure this car is going to sell in good numbers. I really hope that I was able to tell you everything that you wanted to know about the Civic. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I'll be very happy to answer all of them. Do hit the like button, subscribe to Motoroids, do hit that bell icon, and until next time, then this is Amit Changani signing off. Drive hard, drive free, and drive safe.